Good evening, everyone. It's Kathy here. Hello, Boulevard Club yogis. Kathy coming to you from my front porch, yoga studio. So if you haven't had a chance to do this class with me, it is an all levels class. So you can completely tailor it to suit how you're feeling at whatever time you're doing this class, this evening or when the recording comes out, and modify the poses so that it feels good in your body. And tonight we're going to focus on ID.
Hi.
Hi. Great.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Awesome. I'm so glad you came live. And I've just begun recording the class. So
Oh, good.
we're gonna go right to it. You're not being recorded. So it's
That's
just me
good.
being recorded, just in case you had any worries about that.
No, I wasn't worried.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we're starting to move to Zoom, and that, whether people show their cameras or not doesn't matter at all, but just to feel that we are here together in a bit of our old ways of having a community.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm going to, I think from this end can mute.
Yes, you can mute us.
Then we won't hear the background noise, or you can at the end, if you feel, and as other people come in perhaps, and you want to say hi to anybody, you can always unmute once we get there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so enjoy your practice.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay.
I'm gonna go get my mat.
All right, go get your mat. So having a mat is the first item of the toolbox, and that's really all you need. But if you have some other things around, it's always good to grab. For tonight, I've got just a long towel or a blanket, and this is for our starting pose. I'm rolling it up quite tightly. So tonight's class is going to focus a lot on opening the front body. So coming out of the sort of rounded over protective shape in our physical body, or working on a screen. And there might be something for you in the energetic or the more spiritual and mindful aspects of how that physical posture, that opening front body, can be a bit of ungripping of the mental activity as well. So to start, for the first few minutes, if you do have this roll or anything really that would go underneath your upper back, so in around the heart rate monitor line, and it's not meant to be a huge heart opener to start with, but it does start to inform the shoulders to roll back. So you will want to have your head could be lifted up a little bit on another pillow or blanket, a little bit of support there, unless you don't mind your head falling back a little bit lower than your heart. Anything that you have in your space, if you do have extra couch pillows and things, you can always bring them in. So something underneath the thighs, or your knees could just be bent. It's intended to be a bit of a shape of the rolling waves or the babbling brook. If you don't have these things right handy, then just stretched out on your back is totally fine, with the legs either long or with your feet wide and your knees coming together. Making any adjustments so you feel that you can be at ease here. Take a few clearing breaths, breathing in through the nose and exhaling with the lips parted. Just letting go of some of the carbon dioxide. Doing that a few times, releasing any gripping, both in the physical body and in the mental landscape. Any of the thought trains that are still chugging on through, just giving this symbolic as well as energetic release of all of that. A couple more deeper, longer inhales with the lips parted, exhale. And then just come to let things settle a bit. All of the activities of the day, the shaking up of the snow globe, all those particles, inviting them to just softly, naturally start to go down with gravity. So there's a little less of the loud buzzing. You can notice as you rest here right away if there's an area of the body that is clearly holding some tension. Maybe it's something in the face or the belly. There might be some clenching in the fingers or the toes. Just allow yourself to open up to feeling where this lies for you without thinking about it. So just not straining for it. And so stress is normal. We all have it. It's present. A little bit extra collectively with all of the precautions and protocols of this pandemic. And it's got its own social contagious element. So we can make a real difference by just accepting and allowing ourselves to have a practice that brings us some ease, both for ourselves, but in how that translates energetically to others in our bubble. And also to help us to have some boundaries so that we don't take on others' stress when we're present with them or even thinking about them. Helps to have an anchor, and in this practice we use our breath, the Ujjayi breath, a little deeper, a little longer, and in and out through the nose. Engaging with a bit of sound on both sides of the breath. Bit of a whisper hum at the back throat. And so this can be an anchor for your practice when we start to move. And if for you that causes any anxiety, if the breath isn't the thing for you, then it can be something else. It can just be the body posture. Or sound, awareness of hearing. Something to draw you back into the moment. Let's take a big stretch out now so you can move through the feet, point and flex the toes, lengthen the limbs and the arms away from each other in any manner. So the arms can be above the head, reaching away on diagonal or open to the sides. If the knees were bent, just stretching out the legs there. If you do have that support underneath your upper back, you could just leave it there. Let's take the hands behind the head, cradle the head with the hands. So if you have a pillow behind the head, we don't need that anymore. Still with that lift between the shoulder blades, just lift the chest up a little bit here, looking towards the feet, chest towards the ceiling, and then start to lay the shoulders back down and over that little bolster roll or pillow if it's there, and press the elbows to the floor. Puff the chest up a little bit. And then just a C curve in the lower belly, the low back, starting to press down. Even if it doesn't come all the way to the ground, we're just lifting the chest up a little bit. Keep the elbows wide and let the head rest in this hammock, and then stretch it out, lengthen. Let this be all about opening up the heart and just lengthening in the upper back. The elbows can press down to accentuate that. Your legs can be long, or your feet could be bent or not bent the feet, but the knees bent as well with the feet on the floor. Chin towards the chest to come up. And then let's inhale, roll it back down. Cradling the head, press the elbows and the backs of the arms. Feel a little breeze under the low back. And rather than pressing the low back down, just shrink the ribs down towards the hips so you come up in that little bit of a candy cane in the upper back area. And then let's do 2 more, coming down. And then shrinking the ribs down towards the hip to lift the chest. And then just roll that down there. Release the head again, stretch it out, inhale. And then roll over to one side. Take the roll or pillow out if you were using that, out from underneath you there. And come onto the back body. You can use that roll or a pillow just to lift your hips and slide something underneath your seat. And stretch the legs out long so that we feel the front hip flexors. If you take your hands down in that iliopsoas, the hip flexor, the bones, and then down to the thighs, and just feel that area naturally lengthening a little bit more. You can heavy your low back and either leave the arms down by the sides or reach them above your head and catch opposite elbows there if that feels okay in your shoulders. Just let breath happen here to expand the lungs and give some more space. So just making space for it all in the physical body and the mental body as well. Taking 3 breaths here. Legs can just be kind of loose and floppy for 3. 2, lengthening the entire spine. And 1, let's walk the feet back in. So we're not going to squeeze the knees in towards the chest because we want to keep that hip area long. Just lift your seat up a little bit here to take, if you do have something underneath there, take it out and roll back down. Bring the fingertips down towards the heels. Press the feet to the floor, press the arms to the floor, and just lift up just a little bit, not into a full bridge. Just to, again, almost like a upside down plank pose. So really reach long through the inner knees and pull the heels back. But let your seat be a little bit heavy. Reach a little extra with the right knee. So the right hip lifts higher up than the left hip, rolling a marble down towards the left. The right hip to the left hip, the marble rolls down, and then inhale, let the hips heavy a little bit and center out. Don't come all the way down. And then press the left foot, pull the left heel back, reach the inner left thigh, knee long, so the left hip is noticeably coming up above the right hip. And roll the marble from the left hip down to the right hip. Take a breath as you pendulum drop through center and then go the other side. So reach the right knee long, lift the right hip. Use the arms a bit to take a break in center and then switch it over. Just moving with the breath to swing the hips from side to side and squeeze the buttocks to lift that one hip a little higher. Whichever side you're on, just switching it up. Let's do 1 more each side. Lengthening through the knees, iliopsoas. Let's press the hips up just together now and squeeze the bum cheeks a little here. Now we're in a bridge pose for one more inhale. And then exhale, ripple down the whole spine, lengthen it out. So do let your ribs touch down, let your low back touch down. Don't bring your knees in towards your chest though. Just feel that kind of release by pressing the low back down and peeling the tailbone up without lifting the hips. Good. Just let that go. Bring your feet wide and the knees come into touch. Take the arms into a cactus shape. Start to let the left knee fall over to the left and the right knee will follow. You can come to the edges of your feet and wiggle the right knee a little longer towards the bottom edge of your mat. Take a breath in there. And as you exhale, start to look over towards the right, so you're looking down towards the right foot. One more breath in here. Good. Heavy the hips, let the right knee start to lift up. The head comes back to center, and then right knee over to the right, and left knee will start to follow. Slide the right or the left femur bone a little bit longer, reach the left knee down towards the bottom of your mat, and then start to drop your gaze over towards the left. Take a breath in. Feeling it through that whole left side body, and exhale. Let's come back to center, breathing in, and do one more time over towards the left. You can stay just like that, or pick up your left heel and rest it above your right knee to add some length to that right ilio crest again. Only if you need that. One more inhale. And exhale. So just finding those boundaries for yourself. Come back through center. Let's keep the right foot on the floor now and the left ankle crossed above the right knee. If you haven't got there, just take a moment to find that figure four shape, continuing to keep open space across the pelvis and the hips. So press your thighs both away. And for this variation, don't draw the right knee in towards your chest. Just keep going with finding the contraction of the outer hip away from center, a little squeeze of a drawstring at the waist, lots of length through the tailbone as you take one more inhale there. And exhale, uncross the left leg and shake it really vigorously up towards the ceiling. Wiggle and shake. Maybe you've been on your feet or sitting at a chair a lot all day. So it's really good to get the circulation moving through the fascial network. And then just stretch that leg up. Start to lower it slowly towards the floor. Let it hover when you get close to the floor and just feel the core muscles supporting the strong back body to open up the front body. Point the toes for the last breath in. And then exhale, lower that leg. Just relax the muscles in the hips and the face maybe. Let the right leg slide out. So just take in if you're feeling any obvious difference from left to right. Whatever you notice is fine. Not noticing anything is fine. Let's bring the knees back up. Feet wide, knees to touch. The cactus shape again. Now let's take the knees over towards the right. And now on this side again, either just staying with that for a couple more breaths, looking to the left, or picking up the right heel and letting it lengthen the left femur bone. If you feel any pinching in the lower back, just back that right off. Expanding through this whole left side body. One more breath in. And start to walk the left foot back to center. Level the hips. If you have crossed the right ankle above the left knee, just keep it there or bring it there. Press the thighs away. Feel the drawstring at the waist tighten a little bit, or the inner hips narrow. Opening up the glutes on the right side without shortening up these hip flexors. One more inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Stretch the right leg to the ceiling and shake it quite a bit. Loose, wiggling the toes, let the flesh just jiggle. Hips can wiggle a little bit too. And then lengthen out through that leg. Flex the heel to start. Your hands can be at your sides, or you can hold the sides of your mat for a bit more anchorage. Start to slowly lengthen this leg. The goal here is just to feel the length, the front of that hip, a little bit of core as you hover and point the toes there. Breathe in. And then exhale, lengthen that leg down and flop it. And then slide the left leg down. And then notice the sensations here from left to right. Good. And then let's come over to one side, either side. Using the top hand to press up. And come all the way around to hands and knees. We'll just shift the hips forward and back a few times. So without rounding or without flexing or extending the spine, just moving through a few, shifting the hips back of the knees a little, and not coming all the way back, not going into a child's pose, trying not to shorten up in the psoas. Shifting sort of through a plank and keeping the hips in a neutral shape. You can come forward to plank. You can be fingertips, fists, or palms, and then stretch back a little bit. Come forward again. And stretch it back. And then come forward and have the palms or fists down. Lower a couple of inches on the exhale and then press straight up. Breathing in. Strengthening the back muscles and keeping the core contained. Exhale, lower a bit, and then inhale, press it up. Let's do two more. Narrow the elbows. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Reach back through the tailbone. Exhale, and then lower all the way down. Stretch the legs a little bit longer and bring the fingertips wide and draw the breastbone through. Anchor through the front of the pelvis. Lengthen out of the psoas. Keeping it long rather than thinking of height. Let's drop the left shoulder and look underneath the right arm. And press the toes to the floor. Lengthen the legs back a little more. Inhale, center, and then exhale, peek under the left arm. And come back through center here and exhale to lower down. Press the palms and lift up. And just take it into a cat. Curving that out. And then inhale through center and stretch the right leg back. Curl the toes under. Start to float the right toes off the floor just a little bit. Only so much as the hips can stay fairly quiet and really stretch back through that heel. Pull the fingertips or the palms back as the breastbone reaches forward and extend through the left arm as well. Just coming into some balance here. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring the left hand back down and bend through the right knee. Squeeze the heel towards the bum cheek. Just feel that squeeze and press the heel up towards the ceiling a few times. Just a really small movement. The hamstring is working to help do a little more opening in that front line. Press up, and this time go ahead and open up the hip, and you can bend the knee towards the left side of your mat or draw the heel over on that side. Keep your chest facing the floor, even pressure through the palms. Let's wag the left shin off to the side a little bit now and stretch the right leg out and bring it right down. You can look back for it. Angle the toes a little bit forward and move the left hand just slightly ahead of the shoulder. So we're just not leaning all the weight into that. You can keep your right fingertips on the floor or start to reach them back towards your right heel. Energetically drawing down towards the right heel with the right fingers and forward through the crown of the head. Reaching the right arm up towards the ceiling if that feels okay, to get a little more of the left ribs drawing towards the ceiling. The right fingertips forward is another option. Let's take a couple breaths here. It's 1, pressing down through the right heel for 2. And 3. Last thing here, bring the arm back up. Maybe go into some balance here to pick up the right leg. Press out through the heel, activate that whole sideline. And then exhale, start to bring the foot down, face the floor again. Bring the knees back to level here. Press the palms, curl the toes under, and lift the hips up now, downward facing dog. And bend the knees a little bit here and keep the tailbone lifting super high. And press through the inner palms to protect the outer wrists as you give the head just a shake. Stretch out through the jaw, make any faces that you like. And then bring the big toes together. Let's one more time. Stretch out through the right leg, so a 3-legged dog. And open the hip. You can keep the legs straight. Same action here to press through the inner palm. And then bend through that knee. Take another breath in. And exhale, straighten the leg. Level the hips. And now bring the right knee towards the nose in a 3-legged plank. Lift the heel up towards the bum and then step that foot forward. So we'll take it into the lunge. And then tap the back knee down. So we're working a little on the left psoas now, stretching out through the heel to pick that knee up and then tap the knee down, exhale. Stretching out through that heel one more time. And then tap that knee down. You can keep the back toes curled under or press the top of the foot down. If you're pressing the top of the foot down, then pull it forward a little bit. Walking the hands up to the front thigh and sit low. Inhale, roll the shoulders away from each other. Just let the tailbone be heavy with some core containment here. You can move in and out a little. Just feeling into that. Exhale to sit low and inhale to come back up. Let's start to move it back a little more so that the legs are more right angles with each other. A deeper stretch through the left side, psoas. Roll the outer right hip crease down and reach the left arm up. And then come over to the right for 3, 2, and 1. Back through center. Bring the hands down on either side of the front foot and pick up the back knee. Let's shift some weight into the palms, just leaning forward, keeping the head nice and light, and then step to plank. Let's tap the knees down again. Exhale to lower a couple of inches. Just moving in one piece from the knees to the top of the head. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press up. And then exhale, come all the way down. 3, 2, and 1. Then stretch the legs back again. Can go back to the gecko shape with the elbows lifted, or cobra with the fingertips in line with the shoulders. Waving through 3 times. Lengthening the legs. It's coming to a height where you're not feeling angry in the lower back. A deep squeeze of the shoulder blades together to come out of those rounded shapes. Exhale to lower and just press up and back. And take it into a really deep cat curve, so let the head go. Your hands could be a little shorter distance towards you for a bit more of that flexion. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together, take it into the cow shape. Exhale into cat. Inhale to cat. One more time, exhale into cat. And then come back to a neutral tabletop shape. Fingertips, fists. And we'll take the left leg and stretch back. So press out through the heel and light up that whole back line. Feeling for level hips, how that feels in your body, and then floating the back leg. Maybe it's just an inch off the floor. Long through the neck to take some breathing here, and maybe add the balance with the right arm reaching forward. Again, it can be just barely off the ground as well. It's still balance here for one more inhale. And exhale, hands level again, and bend that left knee now. Squeeze the heel towards the bum, and then start to lift the heel in the direction of the ceiling. So little pulses. You should feel this in your hamstring. Opening up that left front hip for 3, 2, and 1. And then go ahead and open so that your ribs start to wrap under towards the left. Opening the knee and keep squeezing the heel to the bum. Point the toes. Chest is still facing the floor. Stretching out that leg. Now look back for it. You can wag your right shin for a bit of balance, like a kickstand. And then place the whole left foot on the floor. So this can be your pose here. Your left hand can stay down, or start to wrap the right ribs a little more and open up through the chest. Reaching that arm down the body in the same direction. Left heel, left fingertips reaching down the body away from the crown of the head. Staying here, or reaching the left arm up. Opening the chest. If you're feeling stable and want to look up, you can add that. The left fingertips can reach towards the front of your mat. Option to pick up the back leg here, or reaching that arm up. And then exhale to lower and face the floor again. Come back to level the knees, curl the toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. See if you can find some stillness. Using this breath as an anchor, or any of the other anchors that are available, any sensation. Just knowing that you're in this downward dog, and knowing that is an anchor, or sounds in your space. Something to steady the attention. Let's take one more breath there. And come high on the tiptoes, breathing in, and exhale. Slowly on empty, start to walk the feet up towards the front. And lengthen halfway. And then fold over the legs there. Let's do that again. Come up halfway. Hands can press to shins or thighs. Lengthen out of the waist, out of those hip flexors, and then fold here. It's almost impossible not to shorten them up a little bit, but looking for poses where we're really keeping as much length as possible. And then exhale, fold. Deep breath in here. And bend the knees and start to let your bum kind of sit back a little bit as you slowly start to roll up. So take your time. Just shake out the arms. So your seat is a little back of your knees. We're not trying to keep the joints stacked here. In fact, as we come up, when we feel we're getting. So the upper back is where the most of the curve still is. Then we'll let the hips kind of rock a little forward, and then the shoulders come up and back, and just exaggerate that a little bit, palms face forward. And soften the knees and roll down one more time. So chin to chest, feel that area where the bra line is as you just dangle and pause there. And then keep going. Let your seat stick out a little bit, more like you're almost hinging here to bring the belly towards the thighs. And then chin to chest and just hang out. Exhale again to slowly roll it on up. Get to a point where you're almost there. It's mostly in the upper back bra line area where the hips can go a little forward and then back into neutral. Reach the arms up and fold over the legs. Exhale. Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, halfway lengthen. And exhale, fold. We'll step the right leg back first. Palms press. And then the left leg. And then shift forward. Drop the knees and lower. Let's breathe in, cobra pose. Inhale and exhale, lower. And press up and back over the knees and into downward facing dog. We'll bring the big toes together here. You realized I missed a sequence on that side. So take the left leg up and back. You can have a little bend in the right leg and open the left hip. Keep the leg straight to start. Press out through the fingertips, especially the left palm. Bend the knee there. Heel dropping over towards the right seat. And the right inner thigh is hugging to center. Good. Stretch that leg out. Inhale. And then knee to nose. Exhale. Heel lifts towards the bum. Shoulders lift forward of the wrists. And then stepping, helping that left foot to come up. And stretch long through the back. Heel. And just tap that knee down lightly. And then stretch back without trying to lift the hips too much here. Just keep them nice and low. Tap the knee down. Stretch out again, breathe in. And then tap the knee down. Just keep it down there. Start to bring the hands up to that front thigh. Roll the shoulders away from the front body as you sit a little bit low on the inhale, and then just draw back through the ribs on the exhale. Sit low, inhale. And exhale, draw it back. Inhale. And then exhale to come back. And feel for your pelvic bones, that whole girdle, that whole bowl. Facing forward, and reach the right arm up, and then come into that lateral stretch. Rolling the outer left hip crease to the floor for 3, 2, and 1. Back up, inhale, and exhale. Bring the right hand down. Back toes curl under. Both palms down on either side of the front foot, leaning back into plank pose. Shift through, knees down, exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, slide the palms a little further back. Lift from the belly over the knees. Downward facing dog for 3, 2, and 1. High on the tiptoes. Traveling to the front as you like. Halfway lengthen. Breathe in and fold. Exhale. And press the feet, come all the way up. Inhale, and right away, let's do one more exhale with the breath. Half breath for each movement, softening over the hip creases. Stepping to plank. And shifting forward to lower knees, up or down, all in one piece. Any back bend, cobra or gecko or upward facing dog, the knees will be lifted in upward facing dog. And then coming through to downward dog, or you can take a child's pose or a puppy pose. A little more of keeping that length through the front body with your hips above your knees. Taking 3 breaths from any of those vantage points, stepping back and watching just the flow of this experience. Last inhale. Exhale to travel to the front. Lengthen halfway and fold over the legs. And press into the feet, come all the way up, breathe in. And then exhale, bring the hands around, just clasp thumbs together behind the back. Open up through the collarbones and start to sit down. Just coming into a little squat. You'll have a seat into Utkatasana, powerful pose. And take 3 breaths there, exhaling for 3. Sitting a little lower for 2. Can even do an extra couple pulses here. For 1, belly to thighs. Extending the arms away from the back, chin to chest. And sit low on the inhale and peel the heart forward, coming up a little. Find that space in this area. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sit the hips low. And exhale, belly to thighs. And shift through this time, reach the arms forward. And then bring the hands to the heart center. Exhale, we'll just tip a little bit forward, keeping lots of weight in the left foot so we can kind of flying our way back, a little bit of balance back through moving warrior 3 into a high lunge. So the right leg is back, arms reach up here. We'll bend the back knee so we'll get some of that hip flexor going here. Let's cactus shape the arms to accentuate the widening of the collarbones, and then straighten both legs, breathe in. And then exhale to lower down. Inhale, straighten out. Exhale to lower. Inhale to reach it up. And then exhale, let's open it up. We'll bend through the front knee, so take a nice long stance. So the back toes are just slightly forward as we look for warrior 2 pose, looking out over the left fingers. Look back for the right fingers as well. And pull a little back in that direction so the ribs and the tailbone aim to be in the center line. Just breathing here as you find this pose, finding some ease in the midst of a challenge. Lengthen a little forward and drop the left elbow down, reaching the right arm back towards the right heel again. It's feeling a little bit familiar here. It's working here or reaching the right arm up or forward for 3. Side angle pose. You can stay on the elbow or you can reach your hand down to a lower height or the fingertips to the floor. 2. And 1, back through warrior 2. And then straighten the front leg in reverse Trikonasana, breathing in. And then exhale. Parallel the feet. I'll just stand to face this way. Parallel the feet and turn the toes out and sit low. And lengthen the inner thighs and shift side to side. And dropping the left shoulder down to look right. And inhale, center, and right shoulder drops, looking left. Inhale through center, coming up a little higher. Rolling the tailbone down a little further. Palms pressed to heart, elbows wide for 3, 2, and 1. Straighten the legs out, reach up. And parallel the feet again and take the hands, take the other thumb on top, open up through the collarbones and fold over the legs. A little bend at the knees for 3, 2, 1. Reach the heart forward, just come up halfway. Let your fingertips come to the floor. Breathing here and walking the hands even further forward as you take that soft knee and let this feel more like a downward facing dog, at least in the spine. Come back through center, pivot the right toes to face the front and crawl around in that direction. Back to the low lunge and stepping here to plank pose. You can come to knees in a puppy or child's pose, or come through a vinyasa, coming all the way to lower. Honoring your energy into a cobra, or the Sphinx pose is nice as well, with the elbows right underneath the shoulders or a little further forward. Making your way back through, so we meet in downward facing dog. 2 more breaths. Pressing out to the fingertips. Being in the shape and knowing that you're in the shape. Noticing the activity of mind without so much reactivity. Let's come high on the tiptoes and walk forward. Halfway lengthen. And fold here, exhale. Press into the feet, come all the way up, inhale. And then exhale, reach the arms around, back again and switch, cross of the thumbs, loop the shoulders. Feet can stay hips width apart or big toes can come together, and let's drop it back into the squat. Just taking some of the arch out of the lower back by lengthening between the hip creases. Finding the tailbone heavy. Exhale to fold. Arms can reach away from the back, and then inhale. Come back into that squat. Exhale here. Heads of the shoulders can roll forward. And inhale. Reach the arms forward. And step the feet hips width apart again. We've been here before. Powerful pose. We'll bring the hands to the heart and just tip a little forward. Just look at your feet, hips distance apart. When we step back, we want to step back to about that same distance. Bringing some weight into the right foot now and taking it through that moving warrior 3 to come back into the high lunge. And bend the back knee, just a touch. So we take that length again through the psoas, and then straighten both legs, and then we'll go a little deeper with that. So exhale the cactus. Squeeze the shoulder blades, breathe in, and then exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades again. Once more in, and exhale. Straighten out, breathe in, and then open up. Start to bend through the front knee. Take a distance between your legs that organically feels that there's some space for your knee to track over towards the baby toe side of that front foot. Look to the back arm, and then look to the front. Let's flip the palms up. Inhale from the shoulders, rolling away. And then exhale, just to come back more neutral. And then open it up. And exhale. Just hanging out here, enjoying the fire. Reaching the right arm forward and resting that elbow. Light tap of the elbow there, or you can come lower down the leg if you prefer. Left fingers reaching for the left heel or starting to bring that arm up. Hugging the right scapula to center. Maybe the fingers reach forward for 3, 2, 1. Back through warrior 2. And straighten the front leg, reverse Trikonasana. Inhale. And exhale, parallel the feet, hands to hips. Bring the toes wide again and drop it into that squat. Shifting side to side. One more time through goddess pose, pressing through the elbows and it's checking out the face for any excess tension. Good, straighten the legs, breathe in. Fly the arms open, crossing some version of the thumbs and folding halfway. Pause, inhale, and then exhale, carry on. Chin to chest. Reach the fingertips towards the floor and lengthen out here. And crawl the hands back towards the front of your mat. Low lunge. Stepping to plank. We're going to come right onto the belly from here, so go ahead and lower all the way down. Just rest your forehead, palm on palm. Give the hips a little bit of a shake. And so with that front body opening, let's take it into the Sphinx pose. So let's all try that. And you could take a hold of opposite elbows just to feel the distance. Stretch the legs back a little longer. So if this feels at all sharpness in the lower back, then you can walk the elbows further forward. A more passive posture, you can hold your hands at your face, hammock your chin. Another way to kind of bolster it up is to take a pillow or take that rolled up blanket towel and just place it at your low ribs. And just soften for a couple more breaths here. And you can continue with this restorative shape. You could even bring your forehead back down on the elbows or fists on fists. And if you want to do a little more of the front hip flexor psoas, then you can listen in or take a look, bending the right knee and just having the left forearm on a diagonal and squeeze the heel to the bum. Either staying here, working on that hamstring strength to feel more length in the front thigh, hip, or reaching back. And if the reach back easily grabs the foot or ankle, then you can take that in hand, flex through the foot and draw the foot away from your seat. That'll roll the shoulder open as well. You could be down, could be resting your forehead on your left palm or fist. Releasing that leg and switching over to the second side. So you can start upright with your right forearm on a diagonal and bend the left knee. And this can be your shape here, working. It's a little more work actually in the hamstring, or reach back. And if it's there, you can hold on to that in this upright position, or just rest your chest down, especially nice if you do have that blanket or pillow. Releasing that leg. And then from here, we'll definitely take that child's pose. So press up and back. You can use the roll if you like to keep a little space in the hip flexors, and a bit of a squish of the digestive organs is another way to do it. Just letting the kidneys expand and starting to bring on the rest and digest component of our practice tonight. And as you're ready, shifting over to one side. And we're coming down onto the back, and we're heading into rest. Want to make sure that we do that. And so if you're near a wall or a couch, a bed, I have a chair, but to have the legs elevated. If that's easy for you to get into a shape where you can just take a complete load off, and you can cozy up with blanket and pillow and whatever you need. Lower the lights or lower the shades over your eyelids. Something even over top of your eyes. Any last bits of movement that you need here. Just notice your palms, where they've landed. Notice any sensations in your palms. Are they outstretched? With the palms rolling open? Or connecting somewhere with your body, belly or chest, in a gesture of compassion, friendliness. If you find your mental activity is still buzzing, some agitation, some leftovers, just allow that to be. Coming back to an anchor that is a comfort to you, the breath or the knowledge that you're lying down in this shape, resting. Sounds in your space. Let your awareness move to that area of the body at the earlier start of the practice where you may have recognized some tension in the face, the belly, or some other area. Just notice what's here now. And you can continue to be in this shape and rest a little longer or close out your practice lying down. If you're winding down the practice, moving on to other activities and want to begin to move, then just do slowly, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Remembering if the legs are with some support and lowering them and spending a little time over on one side in the rescue pose. You can take a moment either lying down or sitting to acknowledge the presence of other yogis, other members of this community that are sending each other well wishes. Everybody just doing the best that they can to bring themselves some ease, some space, and in that way also benefit others that are in the bubbles or that may cause some reactivity in ourselves. Thanks so much for your practice and attention. We'll see you next time. I'm just going to turn the recording off.